When life breaks you, it doesn't send you a warning. It doesn't knock politely on your door. It crashes in like a storm, tearing everything apart before you even have time to take cover. One moment you think you've got it all under control, and the next you're on your knees wondering how the ground disappeared beneath your feet. We've all been there, haven't we? Those nights when you stare at the ceiling asking yourself, why me? Those mornings when it feels like getting out of bed is a war you don't want to fight. Sometimes it's betrayal, sometimes it's loss, sometimes it's failure, so heavy it suffocates you. And in that moment, it feels like life has singled you out, chosen you as its target, and broken you into pieces too small to ever put back together. But here's the part. No one tells you, being broken is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your becoming. Because it's only when life shatters you that you discover what you're really made of. It's only when you have nothing left to stand on that you learn how to stand on your own. So tonight, I want you to listen differently. Don't just hear my words. Feel them. Let them sink into the places you've been hiding, the places that still ache, the places you've been pretending are healed but are still bleeding. Because I'm not here to give you comfort. I'm here to give you clarity. I'm here to tell you the truth. Life will break you, but what you do in that brokenness, that is where your future is decided. And I'll ask you one question to carry with you through this entire journey. When life breaks you, will you stay shattered, or will you rise sharper, stronger, and more unstoppable than ever before? Life will break you. That's not a possibility. It's a guarantee. At some point in your journey, you're going to face a moment where everything you thought was solid will collapse. The ground beneath you will feel like it's been pulled away, and you'll be left standing in the ruins of what you thought was safe, certain, or permanent. This is the reality of life. It does not spare anyone. It does not care who you are, how much you've prepared, how strong you thought you were. It comes like a wave, unexpected, unstoppable, and it breaks you open. But here's the truth you must hold on to. Life does not break you to destroy you. It breaks you to reveal you. Think about it. When a storm comes, trees bend, roofs fly, and the earth shakes. But once the storm passes, the trees that stand taller are the ones that were rooted the deepest. You may feel bent, you may feel scarred, but you are not destroyed. You are not done. You are being tested, stretched, reshaped into someone you never would have become if everything stayed easy. When life breaks you, it often feels like punishment. You ask yourself, why me? What did I do to deserve this? But maybe it's not punishment at all. Maybe it's preparation. Maybe life is pulling away the things you thought you needed so you can finally see what's been inside of you all along. Maybe you had to lose what you thought was your foundation to discover that your real foundation is unshakable. Look back at the moments in your life when you thought you wouldn't make it. The heartbreak that ripped you apart. The failure that left you humiliated. The betrayal that cut you deeper than any blade. The loss that left you gasping for air. In the moment, you thought you were finished, but here you are, still standing. That pain didn't destroy you. It shaped you. It carved strength into your bones. It built resilience into your spirit. And if you're honest with yourself, you know this, you would not be who you are today without the times life broke you. The breaking hurts. It feels unfair. But it also strips away the illusions. It shows you who your real friends are. It exposes what truly matters. It forces you to face yourself without the masks, without the titles, without the distractions, and that's uncomfortable. But it's also liberating, because when life breaks you, you no longer have the energy to fake it. You become real. You become raw. You become unshakably authentic. Most people fear being broken because they think it means weakness. They think it means failure. But strength is not the absence of breaking. Strength is surviving the breaking. It's refusing to stay down when life knocks you flat. It's looking at your scars and saying, these are proof I lived. These are proof I fought. These are proof I made it through. Imagine a sword. Before it can be strong enough to win a battle, it has to go through fire. It has to be beaten, hammered, and shaped. If you looked at it while it was in the fire, you might think it was being destroyed. But the truth is, it was being forged. And that's what life is doing to you when it breaks you. You are not being destroyed. You are being forged into something unbreakable. The worst thing you can do when life breaks you is to believe the lie that it's over, that this is the end, that you'll never recover. Because the truth is, Many people stop too soon. They stop right when the breaking is about to become the breakthrough. They give up, not realizing that pain has a purpose, and that purpose is to transform you into the strongest, sharpest version of yourself. You might feel shattered right now. You might feel like the pieces of your life are scattered everywhere, too many to gather. But let me tell you, sometimes being shattered is exactly what you need. Because some of those pieces aren't meant to be part of you anymore. Some of those pieces are the fears you've carried for too long. Some are the toxic relationships that were holding you back. Some are the limits you put on yourself. Life broke you not to end you, but to break off what you never needed in the first place. So don't run from the breaking. Don't resist it. Learn from it. Ask yourself, what is life trying to teach me here? What is being stripped away that I don't need anymore? What strength is being pulled out of me that I didn't know existed? Because the moment you stop seeing brokenness as destruction and start seeing it as transformation, everything changes. You will not walk through life unscathed. No one does. But you have a choice. You can let the breaking bury you, or you can let it build you. You can allow it to turn you bitter, or you can let it make you better. You can decide that every time life breaks you, you will rise with more clarity, more focus, and more determination than before. Because at the end of the day, being broken is not the tragedy. Staying broken is, and you, no matter how many times you've been knocked down, still carry the power to rise. Every scar, every fracture, every wound, it's all part of the story that proves you cannot be destroyed. When life breaks you, remember this, it's not the end. It's the beginning of the strongest version of you. You will never truly know who you are when everything is going your way. Success won't reveal your character. Comfort won't show you your true strength. Applause and recognition won't expose the depth of your soul. Who you really are shows up when the applause stops, when the people walk away, when the plan falls apart, and when the silence becomes unbearable. You don't meet your real self in the light. You meet your real self in the darkness. And it is in your brokenness, when you have been stripped down to nothing, that you discover who you truly are. When life is good, it's easy to think you're strong. It's easy to believe you're resilient. It's easy to walk with confidence when the ground beneath you feels stable. But when life breaks you, when the foundation crumbles, you are forced to face yourself without the filters, without the props, without the safety nets. That's when you find out what you're really made of. Pain is a mirror. It reflects back to you the parts of yourself you've ignored, the wounds you've been hiding, the fears you've been burying. When life breaks you, you no longer have the luxury of pretending. You can't fake strength when you're on the floor, gasping for air. You can't fake courage when fear has you paralyzed. You can't fake faith when you've run out of answers. Brokenness strips away every performance, every facade, and leaves you face to face with your raw, unedited self. And that moment is terrifying, but it's also freeing. Because only when you're broken do you learn the truth about your limits. You discover the edges of your endurance. You find out just how much you can handle. And often you realize you are capable of far more than you ever believed. You thought you couldn't survive heartbreak, but you did. You thought you couldn't endure loss, but you're still here. You thought failure would define you, but it refined you instead. Every moment you thought would crush you became the moment that revealed a strength you didn't know existed. Brokenness also reveals your values. When everything falls apart, you quickly see what truly matters and what never did. Maybe you thought the title, the money, the approval, the applause were everything. But when life breaks you, those things don't hold you together. They vanish. They fade. What remains is the core of who you are, your integrity, your faith, your will, your resilience. And for the first time, you see clearly. The things you once chased may no longer hold meaning. The people you thought would stay forever may not be there. The mask you wore to please the world no longer fits, and that clarity, though painful, is a gift. In brokenness, you also discover your boundaries. You realize what you can no longer tolerate. You understand the weight of relationships that drain you, the environments that suffocate you, the habits that sabotage you. When life breaks you, you see what has been slowly breaking you all along. The betrayal that shattered you might have revealed a truth you needed to face. The failure that humiliated you might have exposed a path you were never meant to walk. The loss that crushed you may have stripped away attachments that were holding you back. Brokenness doesn't just expose your strength, it exposes your truth. But here's the paradox. As much as brokenness shows you who you are, it also gives you the chance to decide who you want to become. Once life has reduced you to the raw material, you have a choice. You can stay shattered, holding on to bitterness, regret, and pain. Or you can use that brokenness as the foundation to rebuild. You can decide that the person who rises from the ashes will be wiser, stronger, more disciplined, more compassionate. Brokenness introduces you to your authentic self, but it also challenges you to step into your higher self. And don't underestimate this. Your brokenness reveals not just your power, but your purpose. Some of the greatest leaders, thinkers, and change makers didn't find their calling in their success. They found it in their brokenness. Their pain gave them vision. Their struggles gave them empathy. Their wounds became their wisdom. If you pay attention, your own brokenness will show you the very mission you're meant to carry. It might push you to help others who are suffering in the same way. It might ignite a fire to build something you never would have imagined if everything had stayed easy. Your brokenness is not random. It is shaping you for something greater than yourself. And the most powerful truth is this. You will discover that even when everything breaks, you remain, you are still here. The job ended, the relationship ended, the dream collapsed, but you are still breathing. You are still moving. And that means you are not your circumstances. You are not your failures. You are not your heartbreak. You are the one who survives them. You are the one who endures them. You are the one who rises after them. That realization that you are more than what happened to you is the deepest discovery of all. So when life breaks you, don't run from it. Don't numb it. Don't bury it. Sit with it. Learn from it. Let it show you who you are. Let it strip away the lies, the illusions, the masks. Let it carve out the truth of your spirit, because only when you've been broken do you truly know the power of your own resilience. Only when you've lost everything do you realize you already carry everything you need inside. And once you've discovered that truth, once you've met your unshakable, authentic self, you will never see brokenness the same way again. Pain is inevitable. Every single person alive will face it in one form or another. You cannot escape it, no matter how much you prepare, no matter how much you try to avoid it. Life will cut you, life will wound you, life will break your heart, and life will bring you to your knees. But the difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck is not whether they experience pain, it's what they do with it. Pain can either become your greatest prison, keeping you locked in bitterness and defeat, or it can become your greatest source of power, fueling your growth, your strength, and your destiny. The choice is always yours. When people experience pain, the first instinct is to run from it, to deny it, to numb it. Some drown it in distractions, some bury it under anger, some build walls so high around themselves that they never allow anyone in again. But here's the problem. When you avoid pain, you don't escape it, you just trap yourself with it. You turn it into a prison cell, and you end up living inside of it every single day. The betrayal becomes your identity, the heartbreak becomes your filter, the failure becomes your limitation. You lock the door from the inside, and the pain becomes a life sentence. But there's another way. Instead of letting pain confine you, you can choose to let it define you differently. You can choose to use it as energy. You can choose to transform it into the very thing that drives you forward. Because pain carries power. The same fire that can burn you can also forge you. The same weight that can crush you can also strengthen you. The same scar that you hide in shame can become the very mark that shows others how to survive. Think about it. Some of the strongest, most unstoppable people you know are not the ones who had it easy. They are the ones who walked through hell and came back carrying the flames. They are the ones who took the same pain that could have destroyed them and turned it into purpose. They used heartbreak to grow compassion. They used failure to sharpen their skills. They used rejection as motivation to build something greater. They decided that pain would not be their cage, it would be their fuel. Turning pain into power begins with perspective. You have to stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? The first question keeps you stuck. It leaves you circling the same wound, replaying the same story, never moving forward. But the second question unlocks growth. It opens your eyes to the lesson hidden in the suffering. It shows you how the very thing that hurt you can also help you. Yes, pain hurts. It knocks the breath out of you. But if you lean into it, if you let it teach you, it will carve out strength you never imagined you had. The heartbreak that shattered you can teach you how to love yourself first. The betrayal that cuts you can teach you how to set boundaries. The failure that embarrassed you can teach you humility and perseverance. Every painful moment carries within it a seed of wisdom, but only if you choose to see it. You also have to understand this. Power does not come from pretending you're not in pain. It doesn't come from denial. It comes from facing it, from feeling it, from walking through it. Power comes when you decide, yes, this hurt me. Yes, it broke me. But it will not define me. It will refine me. That decision is where transformation begins. Let me give you an image. Picture a diamond. Do you know how a diamond is formed? It begins as a piece of carbon, ordinary, overlooked, nothing special. But when it is put under extreme pressure and intense heat, it transforms into one of the most valuable and unbreakable substances on. Without the pressure, without the heat, the diamond never forms. And the same is true for you. Without the pain, without the crushing, without the breaking, the power inside you never emerges. Some of you have been carrying pain for years, and instead of using it, you've been chained to it. You've allowed it to steal your joy, rob your confidence, and dictate your choices. But today you can decide differently. You can take that same pain and make it your reason to rise. Make it your reason to build. Make it your reason to refuse to quit. Your pain can be the excuse you use to give up, or it can be the reason you never give up again. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who inspire you, the ones whose stories move you. Almost every single one of them has walked through incredible pain. They didn't become powerful in spite of their pain. They became powerful because of it. They let it shape them. They let it fuel them. They turned their wounds into wisdom, their scars into strength. And if they could, so can you. The truth is, pain is going to visit your life, whether you invite it or not. You don't get to choose whether or not you experience it. But you do get to choose whether it becomes a prison or a source of power. You get to choose whether it chains you to your past or pushes you into your future. You get to choose whether it makes you bitter or makes you better. And here's what I know. When you choose power over prison, when you refuse to let pain be wasted, you become unstoppable, because nothing can intimidate someone who has already survived their worst day. Nothing can break someone who has already been broken and rebuilt themselves stronger. When you take your pain and turn it into your fuel, you carry a fire that cannot be put out. So don't let your pain keep you stuck. Don't let it keep you small. Don't let it convince you that your story ends in defeat. Decide that your pain will be your power. Decide that it will sharpen your focus, strengthen your resolve, and ignite your purpose. Because the moment you do, the prison doors swing open, and you step out, not as a victim, but as a warrior. When life breaks you, it leaves you standing among the pieces of what used to be. You look around, and the fragments are everywhere. Shattered dreams, broken trust, fractured confidence, plans that no longer exist. In that moment, it's easy to feel like you'll never be whole again, like the pieces are too many and too sharp to ever be put back together. But here's the truth. You can rebuild. You can rise. Not instantly, not magically, but piece by piece. And when you do, you won't just return to who you were. You'll become someone stronger, wiser, and more unshakable than before. Rebuilding is not about pretending the break never happened. It's not about sweeping the pieces under the rug and acting as if you're untouched. No, rebuilding means facing the wreckage honestly. It means acknowledging what was lost, grieving what is gone, and still choosing to move forward anyway. Too many people stay in denial, hoping life will go back to what it was before. But life doesn't rewind. The past is gone. What you have now are the pieces, and it's your responsibility to build something new out of them. The beauty of starting from brokenness is that you get to rebuild intentionally. Think about it. When something falls apart, it gives you the chance to ask, do I really want to put this piece back in my life? Does it deserve to be part of who I'm becoming? Not every piece belongs anymore. Some parts of your old life were never good for you. Some relationships weren't healthy. Some habits were slowly destroying you. Some fears were keeping you small. And now that everything's on the floor, you get to choose what you pick up and what you leave behind. This is where the process becomes powerful. Rebuilding is not just about recovering. It's about redesigning. It's about deciding that you won't just glue the pieces back the same way they were. You'll arrange them differently. You'll build with more wisdom. You'll build with stronger foundations. You'll build with deeper self-respect. What broke you may have taken something, but it also gave you something, a chance to rebuild better. But you must understand, rebuilding takes time. Just like a wound doesn't heal overnight, neither does a broken life. If you rush the process, you risk patching yourself up with weak solutions, fake confidence, or temporary distractions. Healing is slow. It requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires the courage to sit in the discomfort of not being fully whole yet, and still trust that every small step forward matters. One piece today, another piece tomorrow, progress that might look invisible to others, but is transforming you on the inside. There will be days when you feel like you're not moving at all, days when the weight of the brokenness feels heavier than the effort to rebuild. On those days, you must remind yourself that even small progress is still progress. Healing is not linear. Strength is not built in a straight line. Some days you'll take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but that's okay. The act of showing up for yourself, of refusing to stay in the rubble, is the very thing that makes you stronger. And here's the most powerful part. When you rebuild piece by piece, you discover that the cracks themselves have value. They are not signs of weakness. They are proof of resilience. In Japanese culture, there's an art called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, they fill them with precious metal, making the repaired object even more beautiful and valuable than before. That's what your life can become. Your scars, your cracks, your breaks, they don't make you less. They make you more. They tell a story of survival. They show that you've been through the fire and emerged with something rare. Too often, people rebuild by covering their cracks with shame. They hide what happened. They pretend they were never broken. But the real strength comes when you embrace those cracks, when you wear them as evidence of your endurance. Because when others see your scars, they don't just see your pain, they see your courage. They see what it looks like to rebuild. And sometimes your story of rebuilding gives someone else the courage to start their own. Piece by piece doesn't just apply to healing, it applies to growth. Rebuilding means building habits, one at a time. Building self-respect, one choice at a time. Building confidence, one small win at a time. Too many people want a sudden transformation, a dramatic comeback, but the strongest comebacks are not built overnight. They are built in quiet, consistent steps. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to pick up one piece today and another tomorrow, and keep moving forward. And slowly, you'll notice something. The pieces you've been putting together don't resemble the old life you lost. They're forming something new, something stronger, something more authentic. And one day, you'll look in the mirror and realize you are not who you were before you broke. You are someone different, someone better, someone who knows their own strength because they've had to rebuild it from scratch. When you rebuild, you also redefine yourself. You no longer see yourself as the victim of what happened. You see yourself as the architect of your future. You no longer measure your worth by what was taken. You measure it by what you've built with what remains. You no longer hide from your story. You own it. You carry it. You let it shine through the cracks, filled with gold. So yes, life broke you, but it did not end you. You're still here. You still have the pieces, and Piece by piece, you can rebuild into someone you've never been before, someone who knows what it means to fall and to rise, someone who knows that strength isn't about never breaking, it's about breaking and still choosing to rise again. And when you rise rebuilt, you rise unstoppable. There comes a moment in your healing journey when you realize something profound. Your story isn't just about you. The pain you endured, the battles you fought in silence, the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the mornings you dragged yourself out of bed when your body and mind wanted to quit, all of it wasn't only for your growth, it was also preparing you to be a light for someone else. Because your story of brokenness, as messy and imperfect as it is, has the power to become someone else's survival guide. Think about it. When you were at your lowest, when you felt like you were drowning, what would you have given to hear from someone who had been there before? Someone who could look you in the eye and say, I know how this feels, and you're going to make it through. We all long for proof that our pain is survivable. We look for signs that we're not alone, that someone else has walked through the fire and lived to tell about it. And that is exactly why your story matters. Your scars aren't just reminders of what you went through. They're roadmaps for someone else who is still lost. When you're honest about your brokenness, when you stop hiding your past, you give others permission to confront their own. You show them that healing is possible, that survival is possible, that rising again is possible. There's a young woman somewhere who thinks heartbreak will destroy her forever, and your story of rebuilding could be the hope she needs. There's a man who thinks failure means he's worthless, and your story of rising again could be the proof that failure is not the end. There's someone drowning in grief right now who believes they'll never feel whole again, and your testimony could be the breath of air that keeps them alive one more day. But here's the thing. Sharing your story requires courage. It means being vulnerable enough to admit you were broken. It means standing in front of others and saying, yes, I've been through pain. Yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, I've fallen apart. And that can be terrifying because the world tells us to only show the polished version of ourselves. But strength doesn't live in perfection. Strength lives in honesty. And when you share honestly, people don't see weakness. They see themselves. They see hope. They see what's possible. Your brokenness also carries credibility. People listen differently when they know you've lived. What you're talking about, it's one thing to read about resilience in a book. It's another to hear it from someone whose hands are still scarred from the fight. When you speak from experience, your words carry weight. They cut through the noise. They pierce the heart. Because people know you're not just telling a theory. You're telling the truth that's been written into your very soul. And let me tell you something powerful. What once embarrassed you, what once made you feel ashamed, can become the very thing that empowers others. The divorce, the addiction, the bankruptcy, the failure, whatever it is, those moments don't disqualify you. They equip you. They give you a story that is raw, relatable, and real. People don't need to see your perfection. They need to see your progress. They need to see that you've been where they are and that it's possible to move forward. There's a ripple effect that happens when you share your story. You don't just impact one person, you impact everyone. They go on to touch. Imagine someone who was ready to give up but hears your story and decides to fight one more day. That person later becomes a mentor, a leader, a parent, a friend who carries hope into the lives of countless others. Your single story can echo for generations. That's the legacy of choosing to turn your brokenness into a survival guide for others. But remember this, your story doesn't have to be perfect or complete before you share it. Too many people wait until they feel fully healed or until they have everything figured out. But someone needs to hear from you right where you are. Someone needs to see the process, not just the finished product. Because healing isn't a straight line, and sharing your journey as it unfolds shows others that they don't have to be perfect to keep going either. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply say, I've been there too. Sometimes your presence, your empathy, your willingness to sit with someone in their pain speaks louder than any speech or advice. That's the gift your brokenness gives you, the ability to truly understand and connect with others at their lowest. And that connection can save lives. So never underestimate the power of your story. Don't silence it. Don't minimize it. Don't hide it in the shadows because you think it's not good enough. There is someone out there waiting for your voice, waiting for your truth, waiting for the reminder that survival is possible. Your brokenness was never just about you. It was about the people you were meant to reach, the lives you were meant to touch, the hope you were meant to give. And here's the most beautiful part. When you share your story, your pain no longer controls you. It no longer has power over you. Instead, you have power over it. You transform it from a wound into a weapon, from a burden into a blessing. What once tried to break you becomes the very thing that helps others stand. That's redemption. That's purpose. That's strength. So the next time you look at your scars, remember this. They are not signs of defeat. They are proof that you survived. They are proof that you rebuilt. And they are the guideposts for someone else who is still in the dark. Your story might just be the reason someone else finds the courage to keep going. And that is how your brokenness becomes a gift. That is how it becomes a survival guide. That is how it transforms from the hardest chapter of your life into the most powerful legacy you leave behind. When life breaks you, it feels final. It feels like the end of your story, the end of your strength, the end of your hope. But what I want you to take with you tonight is this. Being broken is not where your story ends, it's where your true story begins. Because every crack in your life, every scar on your soul, every tear you've cried is proof that you are still here. Proof that life tried to bury you and failed. Proof that there is more inside you than you ever imagined. You've learned that life will break you, but not to destroy you. You've discovered that in your brokenness, your truest self is revealed. You've seen that pain can be your prison, or it can be your power. The choice is always yours. You've understood that you can rebuild piece by piece into something stronger than you ever were before. And above all, you know now that your story is not just about your survival, it's about guiding others through their storms, becoming the light that reminds them they too can rise. So here's the challenge I leave you with. Stop running from your brokenness. Stop hiding your scars. Stop letting your pain silence you. Stand in it. Own it. Use it. Let your cracks shine like gold. Let your story breathe life into others. And let your brokenness be the fire that forges you into someone unstoppable. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't need people who've never been broken. It needs people who've been shattered and rebuilt. People who know the darkness and can still lead others toward the light. People like you. So when life breaks you, and it will, remember this, you are not done. You are not defeated. You are not destroyed. You are being remade. And when you rise again, you will not just be whole, you will be unbreakable.